obviously you've done 1 million movies, I counted, 1 full million. And but was there anyone in this specifically that you're like, I always wanted to meet that person or do a sequel to?
You mean an actor?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I've always wanted to work with Bill Murray. You know, and I had a little moment here. And that was also one hell of an experience because I don't know if you know this, Wes, or
I don't.
You were there. Neil was there. And so we're about to do Bill Murray, you know, coming in dressed as God. And he shows up with his hair. And I think I've seen everything. I've seen an actor show up with his own script. I've seen an actor show up with his own wardrobe. I've seen an actor show up with everything. But I've never seen an actor show up with his own soundtrack. Actually walked in playing from a boombox, you know, on Bluetooth. He was playing Eric Clapton. I think the tears in heaven.
That's a very sad song.
It's very sad, but he's playing God. He's doing anyone. So now he comes in and everybody's attitude on the set changed. Everybody started moving. Oh yeah, holy cow, and Wes is all far away. He screams, Bill, classical music only. Classical music only. And boom. You know, Bill went straight from Eric Clapton to Bar Top or something, and boom, and then everybody went back to work. That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Now, I counted. You have done less movies than the Benicio told you.
Yes.
Present company excluded. Who do you really like with this one?
Thank God you said present company excluded, because I would have said.
Yes.
You better.
Aye. Here's the thing. I grew up watching all of those people. The voice of Tom Hanks was my childhood. I don't know about anybody else in this room, but I sat down at dinner and was like, fucking wait, he's talking to me. God! And he's telling stories about filming Saving Private Ryan, and Bryan Cranston is there, and I just sat on my hands and went, I can do nothing right now. I'm going to sit here and just try to just not have a small panic attack. It's fine, everything's fine. But, I mean, you can't choose one. Don't make me choose
I'm not making you choose one.
Well, I'm not choosing on everyone then.
Okay.
Everybody.
It is funny how he uses the voice of multiple generations. Like I hear Tom Hanks' voice and I still hear Kid growing up with some things. So.
Going back.
That is going back.
Tom and Bryan Cranston are good friends, and those parts we go for that. You know, I've seen the two of them together a bit, and you know they're in a Private Ryan together. You know,
Oh.
remember that? No, they don't appear together actually. I think Bryan is one of the generals who's anyway.
It is very good. We can
Go back to that.
If you haven't seen Saving Private Ryan, you terrific.
But quickly, before we move away from voices, there is a voice who's not here right now, and his name is Michael Cera, and he's fucking incredible.
Yeah.
I'm sure that he would have loved to have been here right now, but he unfortunately cannot. But he's really, really amazing, and I feel really lucky to have been able to learn a lot from working with him, and try not to laugh a lot all the time as well.
So this is a true story. We're back there, and we were not going to do audience questions tonight. And Wes Anderson said, "I want to take some audience questions." So he's the one in charge. So that's what we're going to do.
I mean, if you want, if anybody wants.
Don't ask them if they want to. They want to.
Before we start, I do have to say something. Your love of Wes Anderson is already assumed. If you're going to stand up and give a question, we know you love him. That is underneath something we assume it already. Just go for it. Go for the question.
I don't know if you have to say that.
I was literally told to say that. I was told by your publicist to say that.
Highly.
Okay, I'm giving you wanna tell me you love him, you can. Yeah, don't bother.
I love you, I'm gonna say it.
Thank you.
We all wanna say
Thank
it,
you.
right? My question, when I was watching the movie, I'm so struck by the portrayal of childhood in your movies. I feel like every movie that I've seen of yours, I've seen all of them, there's just such a lovely depiction of childhood. Can you speak to what inspired you to do that? And is it something from your own childhood, or?
Yes, well, she's talking about childhood in this film and any of my films. And yes, you know, I think I feel like it's a pretty common thing that people in their earliest films, a director or a writer director in their early films, often they're doing something about when they're young, when you know like Truffaut or you know, I think a novel. It's what a novelist does. You know, they write something about their adolescence or that sort of thing. For me, I like when we made Rushmore, the second film I made. I liked working with this cast of very young people, and there were a lot of them. You know, and the main character is 17 years old, and it was, you know, it was a special kind of experience. When we did Moonrise Kingdom later, many years later, you know, practically the whole movie was 12-year-olds. And that was a great experience. They were so dedicated. They were so they loved to pretend. You know, they loved to be a part of a made-up story, and you know, and pretend. And it's like an actor, like, you know, I mean, you know, like an actor, like, you know, Benicio, for example. I can see the book about both of them. But Benicio, as a very experienced actor, he's completely submerges himself into the point of view of the character when he's doing the scene, and not everybody approaches it that way. Kids often do, and it's fun. There was a point during Moonrise Kingdom where I remember we were watching it, and I wasn't happy with the way I felt like it just had an and I thought this movie looks like it was directed by these kids. Like they did themselves. And it's going to be a total disaster. It wasn't even a total disaster, but it sure felt like it. Does that answer your question?
It was a great answer, yes.
Who else? In the alley here. Alley.
Hi.
Can you hear me all right, or should I come up?
You can come up, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Hi, it is an honor to meet you, Mr. Anderson. I'm currently an undergrad at UT, Hoco, and I wanted to ask something that I think about a lot as an artist in the world today is that there's so much that has been made and so much that is being made, and I'm curious what you think and what your process is in having and generating original ideas, and if you think that's even something that's important at all, or if it's not possible to have original ideas.
Got it. Yes, she's establishes she's a Longhorn. And the question is about how do you come up with original, new ideas, fresh ideas? How do you find? And you know, I don't know the answer to that. I feel like for me, you know, usually when I'm finishing a movie, there's something else that kind of comes along that I start to get drawn to. And for me, I don't so much experience the act of searching for a new thing. It's usually somehow kind of waiting. But I think that often you have your brain is doing work that you're not totally aware of, you know, and something's kind of brewing, and suddenly it clicks, and it can tell when you're ready for it, or something like that. That's my experience. That's not a useful thing, but it's maybe it's like a neurological. But I do think, you know, I mean, would you say, like, the more you're reading and the more you're watching movies and the more you're sort of studying, you know, the more the more that comes to you.
Study.
Yeah.
You will have to study for the rest of your life. You be a student forever. Yeah, that will feed, and then I guess you make that connection with who you are and your life, and then you start having a perception on your own life that might become original.
I think that's it. Yeah, that's good.
tell you what, well done.
Nicely recorded.
You're all pointing at me. I'm here and then we'll get.
Hi, nice to meet you. I also grew up in Texas, so this is kind of like a cool connection to have. And I'm curious maybe how growing up in Texas has influenced your aesthetic. You're obviously a fashion icon. Your movies have a very distinct feel to them. And I'm wondering if there was anything about Texas that influences that, or really like how you came about creating your own aesthetic.
Well, he's asked, so he's from Texas, and he asked about this, but the main thing that grabbed me is he said, you're obviously a fashion icon. And first of all, the fact that that's obvious is amazing. And I kind of want to try to focus on that for Texas, I think my whole life up until I was 20 years old, I think it's basically Texas. It's a lot of Houston, Texas, and it's just a little sliver of Houston, Texas. And over the years, I feel like my perspective has broadened so much. But I do feel like you kind of go back to the well of your childhood, everything else you pick up along the way, which is all crucial. It somehow connects to this skeleton of something or another that you rely on, and that's Texas.
Mia, you pointed to someone. Was there someone you wanted to?
No, I was indicating the woman who was standing behind me.
You want to pick someone?
Go on then. Use glasses to spectacle. Oh, you're both the spectacle. Gentleman in the grey shirt.
He knows who he is.
First of all, very quickly, thank you, Wes, for giving us a chance to see Benicio and Jeffrey Wright on screen together again. I just bought Basquiat on Criterion. That was awesome to see.
Yeah.
Second of all, you've done a lot of short form stuff recently with your work with Netflix, Henry Sugar, and the other 3 films, and then you came back to long form film. Is your approach to filmmaking different when looking at something like the works of Roald Dahl and then working on something like the Phoenician Scheme? And could you talk about that at all?
Sure. Did everybody kind of hear that?
Sorry.
Well, the Netflix ones, these ones I do for Netflix, they're a very strange form in a way, because the characters kind of recite the story rather than they act it out of it, but essentially they're telling us the Roald Dahl's words. We're relying on his words. So for me, that was quite outside of, for me that was stepping outside of the kind of movies that I would normally make. I mean, for me, the course of my life making movies is more like this, and that was a sort of side project, which I loved doing, and it was inspiring in all kinds of ways, and it was and I had a great time working with an English cast, and I recruited a friend we have Benedict Cumberbatch who's in this movie, and also Richard Iwade, who's working on a new script with me, in fact, and who's great. So all sorts of things like that came out of it. But in a way, it was a side project. This is continuing. I feel like early on, when making movies, I sort of felt like I was making individual movies, but also I had an idea that I'm making movies that might sort of sit together on a shelf together somehow. One day, somehow this could be something that one builds on the next, so they're a bit connected to each other. And so that's sort of my what I emphasize, I guess.
Okay, we have time for one more question. Let's go in the back there. Yeah, you.
Thank you. I just wanted to, you had mentioned music before, and I wanted to ask, when you're thinking about music, are you thinking about it through a particular character's lens, or like through a particular character's point of view, or is it more the sort of overall world that you're building?
Yeah, that's good. And I like also when you call her, she's like, you can't be me.
I know it's someone you wasn't expecting to be picked, but it's a little bit of a
She's far away in the dark, and it was probably like a 0.2% Last question. Well, I think, you know, the music can come at different points along the way. But, you know, and this one, it had some music, it had some music that's in it, this Stravinsky music, mostly. It also had some music that we didn't use, some music from an Italian movie that I sort of had, I had it while we were writing it. And it was some score from this movie, the Matai Affair. But I have a question in relation to that. Like, I asked this to the two of you, but I don't know how much you'll have experiences. Have you had experiences where the music on the set is an important thing for you, where it informs what you're doing, you know, on the set, or sets a mood or something, or there's music?
I've worked with directors that play music to set mood.
Yeah.
Does it help?
Yeah.
It depends, but it can.
Yeah.
You played, I think you played,
He played the Stravinsky music when we were in the plane.
Yeah,
When you turn around.
in the bathtub.
In the bathtub. Yeah, that we did. That we definitely did.
And it did, there's more dialogue, I think it does help.
Yeah, you know, because I used to do it all the time, and I feel like I want to do it more again. But sometimes I wonder, you know, I don't want to do it. This is a private house. I want to do a thing that helps. I don't want to do a thing that's, you know, I don't want to do it where I like it, and in fact, it's not helping you, you know?
I find it very helpful.
Yeah.
But I would primarily put that down to the fact that I use music as a tool already. I make playlists that are helpful for whatever it is, the thing that I'm doing. So I had a playlist for Liesl, and then found out about that song, and that became added to it. So I would say keep doing that,
Yeah,
because I
good.
find it helpful.
Good. I'm gonna
Not that I'm
gonna do more of that.
a useful
But, yeah.
person.
Good.
That was like being like on set, that being the fly on the wall.
Yeah, that was improv.
Hey, thank you all for being here. Everyone appreciates it. Threapleton, Benicio,